A quick note before we get into the episode. Oversharing is a podcast for entertainment purposes only. It is not a medical podcast and does not constitute medical or psychological advice. Always seek the advice of your physician or mental health professional. Hello and welcome back to Oversharing. I'm Jordana Abraham.
And I am Dr. Naomi Bernstein.
How's it going? How was your weekend? I know you were in Charleston.
Yeah, so much to talk about. We talk about Charleston. You had a birthday. Your birthday's right before Maddie's birthday. You guys were almost birthday twins.
Almost. So close.
Missed it by a day. Charleston was great. It was quick in and out. It was fun. We went to a party for Jeff's friend's 50th, and we didn't know anyone there except for like literally nobody. But it was really fun. Sometimes, there was like a dance party at the end. That's kind of my jam. So I was like feeling like I was one of the girls without actually knowing anybody. And it's like a good bonding. It's like we're all kind of, now I feel like I have a bond with all these people that I never met, and I didn't have to actually talk to all of them. We just bonded through our boogie.
You're going to keep in touch?
We boogie bonded. No. No, probably not, but
not. You're like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. It was lovely for when I was.
No, it's nice when you have a long distance friend and they've created a new life to like know their people,
Yeah. No, that's nice. And also, I mean, impressive for you, because I do feel like that's like a little bit of my worst nightmare, like going into a huge social event where I don't know anyone and then like resisting the urge to kind of just like retreat into like
hibernate in the corner.
Probably just talk to Jeff or be on your phone or to like really, because again, especially for an event like this where it's like, it's not like you move to a new town and these are all the new people in town. Like you're probably not going to see these people again.
Right.
And it's a lot to be like, they all know each other.
Yes, totally.
So I'm impressed.
Thank you. Yeah, I felt proud of myself. I do think, like I said, obviously we're chatting, but the idea of just like dancing together is like, I'm in the mix, but like, I don't have to make small talk all night long. So yeah, there's a temptation to be like, I'm never going to see you again. I don't really care what you think about me. So I'm just going to be like antisocial in the corner.
Right.
Because it doesn't really matter. But, it's not like I'm trying to win your friendship, but it was a good time. It was really fun.
That's great.
Yeah. It was a good little challenge, I guess. And you had your birthday.
I had my birthday, which is just like so ironic. I feel like karma has come to get me because, on your birthday, I just kept talking about how, on your birthday, you're doing something so fun and you don't want to be interrupted by all these calls. So you should be texted. And then my birthday's on a Sunday this year. It's yesterday. And Mike was in India for work.
Right.
So we had celebrated the week before. So my birthday was like pretty much me and my dog. And I got a massage, which was great. But other than that, I had a lot of free time where
nobody's calling you.
Could have been fielding calls, but I put out there that I don't want any birthday because like the 1 year where I'm not doing anything.
Oh my gosh.
But you called me, so that was
nice.
I got mine. I got payback.
It's actually a good lesson in like relationship communication, because I think sometimes, and this is for like couples and friendships, you can establish like, this is what I want. And then maybe it changes and it's okay to kind of be like, hey,
actually,
that thing I said I didn't want you to do, I want you to do.
Right. But not all the time, just this year.
Yes.
Just this year.
Next year, go back to leaving me alone.
Yes.
All right. I will check in year by year. We can
take it. Yeah. I mean, it's all about communication, right?
Yeah.
I think people we have some emails like this too. I think people are, there's like a fear of like over communicating or something. Like you don't want to like to have a whole conversation about something or like go there. So people sometimes just don't say anything. And then there's like these, and these are usually for smaller things. There's just like this small lingering resentment feeling for a lot of things. Because especially for friends, I mean, when you're in a couple, maybe it more like builds up. But I think with friends or siblings or people you don't live with or see every day, you're kind of like, I could bring up that thing you did kind of annoyed me. or I could just like let it go and like just not get into it.
Right. And if you have too many of those, it can affect the relationship. So yeah, I agree. I think there's also a fear of being like a little bit too like emotionally needy in a relationship that doesn't feel like it's that type of, like you're not each other's person. So
right.
like you're not your number one attachment person. So is this
what are the expectations?
Yes, yeah. Right, exactly. And yes, we have some emails about like friendship expectations, which I think are interesting to look at. Like how much can you expect in terms of like emotional digging in,
right,
from different relationships in your life?
Yeah, I think they're really great. We're going to get into those. But before that, we had a couple requests to discuss the documentary Unknown Number on Netflix, I believe it was. And I had watched, and I could see why people want us to discuss it. It seems like a psychological landmine.
Yes.
And spoiler alert, if you haven't watched and you want to watch, it was I don't want to say entertaining because it was like really weird and messed up, but it was entertaining.
Yeah.
So check it out. It's called Unknown Number. It's on Netflix.
Yeah. If you don't want to hear, hit pause here and skip, because there's no way we can discuss it without spoiling the ending.
Yes. So spoiler alert, alert, alert. What did you think as a psychologist watching this documentary?
So many thoughts. So for those of you who aren't going to watch it and just want to know, it's the story of this girl in high school and her boyfriend who are getting like just horrifically bullied on their cell phones. Like someone is sending them.
They're 14.
They're 14. It's like, I think it spans between like 14 to 16, or even it's like years basically of someone harassing them, trying to break them up, telling her she's awful. It escalates into like, you should kill yourself, and just these horrible, horrible texts that she's getting, the boyfriend's getting. Then they end up breaking up over it because it's just like too much. They're fighting because they keep making whoever this texter is keeps making the girlfriend insecure, and she's like not sure what he's doing, asks him questions. They break up. He gets a new girlfriend. And then that girlfriend's mother starts getting texts. So it's like all over the place. The spoiler alert is the entire time, pretty much, it is the girl's own mother.
The original girl's mother, yeah.
That is set from a blocked number, some app that she used, is harassing her own daughter with like really vulgar, disgusting sexual texts about her boyfriend and what she's doing with her 14-year-old daughter's boyfriend.
Like insulting her body and saying like, no one likes you. And it's crazy because they sort of show the mom. Well, one, I thought this documentary was unique in that the mom is in the documentary. So usually the villain is not like willing to be interviewed or is like away jail or something. And so she was like being interviewed the whole time, which is to me what threw me off from thinking it was her.
Yes.
Because you're like, who would ever participate in this if you would be so shameful that how could you ever even show your face?
Yes. So, I mean, as a parent, and look, we have our shame. And if she wants to come on here, I will help her shed her shame, and we can help her shed her shame. But this is something that I think is a pretty shameful type of a behavior. We can talk about one of the investigators said it best. It was like a cyber Munchausen's. That was kind of what it ended up being, which was like.
Did you think that was like why she was doing that?
Yeah, I think she was doing it because she wanted to, I think there was a part of it that she wanted to like create that. What my assessment is, they were really close. She was like the soccer mom. She was the coach of the team. She was always like super on the PTA, involved in her daughter's life. Then at like 14, her daughter got this boyfriend. She probably felt a little pushed out, like she wasn't her number one person anymore.
Right.
And as a result of, I think there might have been something where she might have gotten one or two texts very early on that perhaps were not actually from the mother.
You believe that?
I don't know. But I could see
seems kind of
that seems crazy.
Coincidental.
It does seem crazy, but maybe it just gave her the idea of like, oh, wow, she's so upset about this. I can be there for her. We can be close again by me like supporting her through this, you know, bullying. And then she was like, oh, wow, the bullying kind of stopped. Now we've lost this bond.
Right.
And then she herself started it back up, I think, to be able to be like, oh, come tell me what happened. What messages did they send today? Oh my gosh, that's awful. And also maybe break up her and the boyfriend so she could kind of have her daughter back to herself. But
it also seemed like she kind of had a crush on the boyfriend. To me, it almost seemed like she was trying
like
to
like
relive a youth or something, or she was trying to be the daughter, or like she was jealous, like she wanted to be involved in this relationship.
Yes.
Somehow.
Yeah, I do think there is a thing. I mean, not to this extent. This was crazy because it was like not even a text or two, which would still be crazy, but it was years.
Right. Yeah. And like, why did she need to tell her to kill herself?
Tell her to kill herself.
Right.
Like multiple times, insulting her body and telling her she should be doing more sexual things with the boyfriend. And that's why he's going to break up with you because you're not like giving him oral sex, like all just the worst.
Like the worst things if you could think of to text a 14-year-old.
And it came from her own mother.
Crazy.
Yeah. So I do think that there is a culture of like parents getting really involved in like the high school drama of their kids. If like you don't, she wasn't working. I think she was laid off. She probably had too much time on her hands. And she started feeling like, okay, this is my own personal, like I'm going to create my own personal, you know, drama here.
Yeah.
So I think part of it is like she was torturing her daughter, but at the same time, she was in control of it. So it's almost like you think if someone's doing that to your kid, that's like your worst nightmare. Like I couldn't think as a parent of a worse nightmare than someone harassing my like 40 texts a day, just like trashing her, bringing her down.
Right.
But she was in control of it. So it maybe didn't feel as scary to her or the whole thing was so twisted. But the whole time I'm kind of like, and this was the weird part. If that's me, I'm like, these messages are coming through this device. Remove the device.
Right. As a parent, you would remove the device.
Yes.
Right.
I think both parents, the boyfriend and her, were so focused on like figuring out who it was that it was almost like they didn't want to just end it because they'd never know like who the villain was.
They weren't being protective in a, you know, as the trade-off for
there's someone out there that like wants harm to my child and I need to find out who it was. And I get it. Like kids need phones and whatever, but like, and since it was her own mother, she would have gotten a new phone number if she would have changed it. But I don't even know if they ended up doing that. She would have gotten a new number and she would have been able to continue the harassment. But it seemed like just not sending them. She's getting 40 texts a day while she's at school. Like, how about you're just not going to have your phone at school?
Right. And then she also didn't care that they were totally blaming the other girl.
Oh my gosh. Yes. She basically like framed this other teenage girl who was then now she's psychologically tortured because everyone in school thinks she's like a vicious bully.
Yeah. And then they have this one line where the mom is like, basically she admits to doing it. She said she didn't send the first couple. I don't really believe that, but fine.
Okay.
And then she's like, listen, people drunk drive all the time and they don't get caught. And so you don't like think they're a bad person, but like I got caught. And it's like, I don't think it's the same thing. When someone is like, obviously drunk driving is horrible, but you're not like setting out to actively be an aggressor, I would assume most of the time in that scenario.
Yes.
It's like a very
that analogy was crazy.
Does not completely fit.
Yeah. I think the thing that makes this documentary really, like you said, entertaining and compelling is that you have the mother sitting in the interview chair, the entire time talking as if she's like so upset about this, trying to find out who the person is. And then she's sitting in the same basic interview chair and saying, well, I made a mistake and I got caught. And the sad part was the daughter's reaction to the whole thing when she found out about it. So like if anyone watches it or if you've watched it, I watched the scene where they told the daughter that it was the mom. Like I rewatched that scene 3 times.
They have the body cam from the cops, which was also another really interesting thing where you could see the moment where they like catch her and confront her and tell the daughter and tell the husband.
That scene where the daughter's sitting there, I'm like, is she hearing what they're saying? Does she know what they're saying? And the mother comes over and starts like stroking her and like
petting her. Yeah.
Are you comforting her? Is she comforting you? It made me feel so sad for the daughter because the end of it, which was actually the saddest part of the whole thing, and I could even like feel like I'm crying just thinking about it, is they interview the daughter at the end and they basically wanted to like take away the mother's access to the daughter and like remove her so she couldn't continue to hurt her. And she like still wanted her mom. And she was just sort of like, I know that I shouldn't, but I still need my mom.
Right. Well, it made sense when the more I thought about it. At first I was like, did she know? Like, why does she not care that much? But then the more I'm thinking about it, I'm kind of like, she really doesn't have anyone else. Like she doesn't have this boyfriend anymore. She's an only child, it seems like.
Yeah.
And her mom, like you said, is her primary attachment. It almost makes you think like that's how people stay in these abusive relationships where sort of everyone else is cut out. And all the people at school probably think are like now really bullying her because they're like, oh, your mom is this crazy person. And you also framed this other girl and all this stuff. So she's probably feels so isolated that the only person who's still giving her this like seemingly unconditional love, at least to her face,
right,
is the mom.
Yeah. Which is why I think it is exactly what that detective said. It's like a cyber Munchausen's, because in Munchausen's, you can like make your child sick. You can kind of hide that you're making your child sick and then you get to take care of them. And in like a cyberbully thing, you can hide that you're making your child mentally and psychologically sick and then take care of them. And even the way at the end, the daughter like almost still wanted the mother to take care of her. There was that dynamic. There was something about that dynamic, like isolating someone, like you said, and then being the only one that could be there for them.
And she gets like in Munchausen's, you get the attention of like,
everyone
the cops are looking into it. The kids at school.
How are you doing? She must be so upset. Are you okay? How are you handling like your daughter being bullied? And everyone's talking about you. And now you're kind of like in the, the popular parent crowd because everyone's like aware of you. And brutal. That poor girl. Like I really feel for her. I hope she can find her way out of this and be okay. But that was crazy.
Check it out. Unknown Number on Netflix. It is a watch.
It's even fun now that you know it's the mom. It's still like I almost want to rewatch it now, knowing that it's the mom. So I think it would still be a good watch, even though you know it's the mom.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's still really good. And it'll be fun and funny. It'll be interesting in a different way to watch.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into some emails and stuff that are slightly less insane. Still drama, less so.
I'm glad we don't have one of those. I wouldn't want that to happen to anyone in our community. That's just awful.
Yeah, that would be crazy. All right. Well, guys, if you want 2 bonus episodes a month and all the episodes a day early and ad-free, you can subscribe. So subscribe on Apple or Spotify and make sure you check it out. People who subscribe seem to really love it. So we really appreciate you guys being part of that community. Or you can join one of Dr. Naomi's therapy groups. How do they do that?
Yes, you can come find me at naomibernstein.com. I actually, it's funny, I was meditating when I was on the plane to Charleston and I was almost like missing my group because we always meditate together at the beginning of every group and I meditate with them and I really have such warm feelings. So if any of you guys are out there and you're listening, love you. love our community, love spending time and doing what we do together. So if you want to be a part of it, NaomiBernstein.com, come check us out and get involved.
Love that. All right. Check it out. Or if you want to leave a voicemail at the end of this episode, if you want to leave us a voicemail, you can call 646-363-6294 to tell us about your issue, give us some feedback on the show, anything like that. Or you can email us at oversharing@betches.com with your email, feedback, whatever it is. Let's get into our episode. I will read the first email. Hi, Naomi and Jordana, longtime listener and first-time emailer here. I have a question related to emotional support and expectations of friends. Sadly, for the past year, my childhood best friend has been going through infertility, including multiple losses. Her and her partner are now considering interventions like IUI and IVF to get pregnant. Meanwhile, my husband and I welcomed our first child earlier this year. I've tried my best to be supportive, sending gifts before her big doctor's appointments, calling her, texting weekly, etc. Despite my efforts, she expressed to me recently that she feels I have not been there for her and would like me to check in more. I am struggling with this because I'm trying my best to support her through this, but I'm also spread very thin, caring for a newborn baby and attempting to take care of myself postpartum. And although I would never show it to her, admittedly, discussing pregnancy loss and infertility so often and in such detail has been hard for me when my hormones are all over the place and mental health is so fragile. I think the sad truth is that perhaps I am not the right person to support her through these challenges in the way she needs, given where we both are in our lives right now. I love and care for her so deeply, and I don't want this to affect our friendship, but I don't know how to move forward. The situation is related to family building and fertility, but I think it could be considered more broadly. What expectations are realistic to put on a friend when it comes to emotional support? And are those expectations still fair when you, the friend, are in an emotionally vulnerable time themselves? Thanks for your insight. Love the pod and you guys. I like this question.
Yeah.
Because the example is great, but I also agree it could be applied to anything that anyone is going through in a friendship. We were just talking about this, how the expectations for friends are often a little bit like murkier than like a partner. Like a partner, you're like, oh, of course, you're going to be at all the appointments and check in every day because we live together and do all this stuff and we're like a unit. And I think with friendships, people, they have their friendships and they're involved in each other's lives, but they also have their own full life outside of the friendship. So I think it's not always clear what your expectations are as someone's friend.
Right. And I really think it depends on the two people in the friendship and like what they're both open and willing to be for one another. And that, again, like we talked about before, that can change, right? Like before she had a baby, she might have been willing to be like the number one and only friend that was supportive to her. Like I do think some people have these intense best friendships where it's like the expectations of that friend is the same as like your parents or your partner is that one friend, versus like maybe having a friend group or like 2 or 3 friends that you can kind of spread some of this around to. Is sometimes it's kind of like we're each other's person. And I think when that happens and life circumstances change, you might need to, kind of, I hate to say renegotiate, but like renegotiate the terms of the friendship.
Right. And I also think that sometimes these things like sort of like ebb and flow. Like sometimes, when you and your friend are going through the same thing, if you're in college or you're after college and you're like in the same boat, there can feel like a closeness. And then a lot of the times as you enter your late 20s, your 30s, people sort of start to reach different milestones at different times and they're going through different things at different times. And you just relate to people a little bit less based on what you are or aren't going through.
Yeah.
So it's tough. I don't know.
I think there's another dynamic to it, which is, and we've talked about this before, right? And I see this with my patients, and I hear this when people talk about like if someone's feeling depressed, right? And what is depression? It's like a ruminating negative thought pattern of like different aspects of your life. And so sometimes when you're in that mode, whether it's anxiety, we can call anxiety and depression like they're kind of cousins. They're ruminating, they're chronic. You can't really get them to go away. They affect the way your physiology feels. And it feels like it's kind of not something that you can control. And sometimes it does feel like I want to share this with the people that I'm closest to in my life. But I do think there's a point where continuing to repeat the same negative narrative or scary projections or whatever that is isn't beneficial for the person that's doing it. And it can end up feeling maybe sort of like this, where I don't know. I can't imagine that there's new information on a daily basis. If it was like new information, like, oh, I got this doctor, I got this appointment,
I mean, it might be. I could see how it would be, but I think even so, even if it is, I got this result and this result, and here's my plan, my next plan for the next thing going through, and this is what the doctor said. I do think, like, even with that, is that something that someone not involved in it directly needs to be updated on all the time? I mean, I read this email and I was like, she sounds very supportive, sending gifts, calling and texting weekly. Like, what more could you?
Yeah.
I would be interested to know, like, when her friend says that she's hasn't been there for her,
what she
wants. Guess she wants her to check in more. She wants her to check in
every day.
Every day. That does seem like a large ask for someone who doesn't live with you, I think, to an extent.
Right. And again, I think
or has their own life. Yeah.
Yes. If their dynamic was we talk every day, and this is where it's hard and it feels like I can't be a friend through thick and thin. I think if their dynamic was we talk every day, we talk about shows, we talk about what we're going to do on the weekend, we talk about things that are like light and fine, then it feels kind of like, great, this is fueling both of us. If the topic has changed to like every time we talk, it's about this like sad, hard, heavy thing, now it kind of feels like this is draining because she loves her and it's hard to hear it every day.
Yeah.
Believe me, if I could tell my kids, like, I'm overwhelmed with all of your emotions, like, please text me once a week, I might do that.
Right. I mean, but those are your kids.
So you have to do it with like certain people that you are like responsible for taking care of.
I mean, I wonder if she is a therapist, because it's the kind of thing where it's like, if I texted a friend and I was like, hey, I have like a urgent situation. Could you come by my house and feed my dog today at 3? I like really need someone to do that. I'm sure they would say yes. If I said that every day,
right,
I think there would be a point where they would be like, I think you need to bring in someone that's not me, to help you out with this thing. And I could do it once a week, but it's like, and again, that's like a physical thing. But I still think that like we probably downplay how easy it is to check in on someone, but it is, if you're paying attention, a lot of emotional weight to have these kinds of conversations very often.
Right. You don't know what to say. You don't know how to help. It's very hard. I always say the hardest part of being in relationship is sitting with the people you love, just sitting in the muck with them. And that's what this friend wants. But if she has a new baby and she's dealing with her own, it sounds like mental health issues, about maybe there's some anxiety or depression there on her end. She's like, I'm trying to just deal with my own stuff. And then every day I'm supposed to kind of sit in the muck with you. It feels like a lot. And I think it's okay to communicate some of that. And I get it. Like if I talk to, if you talk to anybody and you're like, what's the most important thing to you in your life? And you're kind of like, I want to be a good friend. Or like if we talk about self-esteem and we'll talk a little bit about body image, it's kind of like, okay, let's not focus on our body. Let's focus on our character. Like I'm a good friend. I'm a good, kind human. So I think when it comes to giving yourself permission to step back from being unconditionally always there for somebody, I could see why she's struggling, because it feels like I'm not being a good friend.
Right.
But I also think you can tell yourself, like, I can be a good friend, and I can, first of all, I think she should just communicate. I'm dealing with my own stuff, and I love you so much that when I hear that you're struggling on top of what I'm struggling, I know there's nothing I can do to help you. It brings me really down. Like it's very hard, and I'm happy to be here for you. in the way that I have been, like calling, texting, sending, once a week or however often it is, and sending, gifts when I can. That feels like something that she can do where she doesn't have to sit in it with her. And if that's something that she feels like can keep her own tank full while she's giving to her friend, that's probably why she's doing some of that.
Right.
Like sending a gift is like, great, I can send this gift. I don't have to like sit and hear how sad you are and how fearful you are, because that's hard for me because I love you and I don't want you to feel that way.
Yeah. And I think the friend is probably feeling like depressed and upset on her own. And there is sometimes maybe you are the target of feeling like, oh, this person isn't checking in more, because it kind of gives you an outlet for, or somewhere to target your frustration or your sadness into someone else. And again, she seems to be being a pretty good friend to me.
Yeah.
We don't have the friends side of it, but I think it was just, I agree with you. I think she needs to relay to the friend what she's going through, because I think there is this feeling like, oh, I can't complain about motherhood. I can't complain about something that has to do with having a baby when this person doesn't even have that. But if that's the reason that you are not able to be there for her in the way that she wants you to be there for her, I think it's a very relevant and an important thing to do. And just because someone else is having an issue doesn't mean that your issues don't matter.
I totally agree. And I also think if there are listeners out there that are dealing with a friend that is emotionally exhausting, I also don't think you necessarily need to have your own mental health issues to say like, this is too much for me.
Good point.
Like, I think you can do that regardless. I agree. I think in this case, it's good information for her to have. But I think this might be an occasion where you're like, if I'm willing to give, and if it sounds like what this listener is giving, which is a lot, and really supportive and a really good friend, just because you're not available every single time someone wants, every day or every time they have a thought or a feeling, doesn't mean you're not a good friend. And if that's what that person's like, that person might have to have their own realization of like, maybe I need a little bit more of a tribe than just like a single person that is my person. Like, I need to get a community, which is why community is really important, because it's not just one person.
Yeah.
Several people that you can kind of spread that connection to.
And there are online communities for infertility and people going again, I think Reddit is like a scary, horrible place a lot of the time, or like there's Facebook groups where like, but also it's like there are literally we do live in a time where there are digital places where you can find people going through the exact niche issue as you, even if it's like, honestly, there's like fertility, but then there's like infertility with like endometriosis Facebook groups. There's like infertility with like, you know what I mean? Like whatever your specific, which is like kind of cool that you can find that online, and like you could get into it with like all these people who have, very similar experiences to you, who would understand that. And obviously it's like a different kind of support than someone who's known you since childhood. But maybe like the friend said, maybe I'm not the best person to be riding through the day to day of this. And maybe there are better people for that in this one circumstance.
Right. Or like even just the only person. I can't be the only person.
Right.
Maybe besides her partner, which I'm assuming, hopefully she talks to them about it, but it can't be the only person, which is why people love the group therapy concept, because they're like, once a week I have my group, and oftentimes once a week you have your individual therapy. Then you talk to like a friend, you journal, and like there's your community,
Right.
So yeah, I would forgive yourself. It sounds like you're being a good friend. You might need to address, it sounds like she brought it up with you. So she's asking you, and you can give her that answer of like, I'm really going through my own stuff, but it's very draining. And in order for me to be a good friend to you and be able to have the energy to go and like send you a gift after you have a loss, I need to be like, okay myself, so that I can kind of be there for you and other people in my life. It's a hard conversation to have. It really is, to say like, I don't know that I can give you what you need emotionally.
Right. But here's what I can give.
Right.
And then I think that's just like a boundary. And it's like, obviously it's like a weird conversation, because, I think we're taught, or like, it feels like most of these scenarios involved. Oh, I'll do whatever you need. I'll be there.
Yeah. Unconditional.
Anytime,
right.
Any day, any night. Like, but that's sort of just a saying. Like everyone has their limits.
And you're right. It does it transfers. Like you go from being attached to your parents who literally are that. Like you call them at 3 a.m, they're going to talk to you. You're going to be there like unconditional. I'm your person. I'll be there no matter what. Then you kind of transfer that attachment to your friends as you're like in high school and college. And at that time, nobody has anything better to do but to be a good friend. That's like your number one priority. A lot of times, like in those years of your life, maybe besides like work or school or whatever, but interpersonally, that's like your number one priority. And so you can give all that. So this transition time, I think when people get partnered and start having babies, it's a hard adjustment to be like, I can't just, my number one priority is not you anymore. And that's hard.
Right. Hard truth.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good luck. Let us know how this conversation goes if you have it. Let's do a Betchicist. Do you want to read this one?
I will read this. Hey, Jordana and Dr. Naomi, thank you so much for everything you do. I've been a listener since guest appearances on You Up and was so excited when Oversharing became a podcast of its own. I do remember coming on and talking to you and Jared,
yeah, people love those episodes.
Back when I lived in New York, it was feels like a long time ago, but that was fun. Thrilled to be a subscriber to both, just adding that upper echelon status.
We love our subscribers. Subscribe, check it out. You get a free trial if you want to try it out.
I am writing to you today as I sit here incredibly conflicted. My husband and I have been married for about 1.5 years, together for a few years prior to getting married. My husband and my father have always gotten along, but we do live about 1.5 hours from them. They have a great time together whenever we go spend a weekend, and they usually text throughout the week, share memes, and have a good relationship. My father has always wanted a closer relationship as his father-in-law was his best friend. I feel he's always envisioned the same for himself. My grandfather passed away 1 year ago, and I feel it has strengthened my father's desire to put more effort into spending time with my husband. Recently, my father extended the invitation for my husband to join him on a trip. They would be away 4 days in a state where my father has other friends and partaking in aviation activities, essentially my father inviting my husband deeper into his world. My husband was excited and jumped at the chance to say he would love to partake. Plans made, flights booked. A few weeks later, last night, this is fresh, my husband comes home and informs me my father-in-law, his father, is joining in on the trip as well. I knew immediately this isn't what my father would have pictured or wanted. I'm assuming my husband understood the same on some level as he said, I knew you would be mad. When I proceeded to get mad at this information. In this logic, he spoke with my father and asked before extending the invitation to his own father. And he said, your dad said it was fine. He was totally cool with it. The fact that those words being spoken do not mean my father's actually okay with this is a whole separate email and going on 2 years of therapy. But I know the words spoken aren't always the words meant. I checked in with my father and asked if he was genuinely okay with this. Again, the words were, I don't care, while peppered with his actual concerns like, we're doing the air shows, I'm not sure it will be of interest, or whose idea was it? Overall, what I read to be hurt feelings that my husband didn't want to spend time with just him. I've known the man 30 plus years. I know how to read between the lines. I now want my husband to uninvite his father and leave it the trip my father intended. But I know at least an additional plane ticket has been purchased for my father-in-law so far. I also feel a little upset when my husband didn't speak with me about this first, as he knew my feelings would be against inviting his father. I do feel it only fair to share that on my husband's side, everyone has a the more the merrier mentality when it comes to events like this. And the request to join would have been innocent and an invitation extended if the roles were reversed. We also live incredibly close to my husband's family and see them often. My family can be more oriented to sticking to the core group. And I feel my father was really looking to spend some one-on-one time with my husband. I'm not sure how to navigate reversing my father-in-law's invitation without hurting feelings or how to stress the importance of this to my husband, who feels I'm overreacting. Any advice you can give would be so appreciated. Sincerely, a take it back, Betch.
Okay. So I don't think you can uninvite the father-in-law.
Yeah.
I feel like she's getting a little too involved in this, I have to say.
Yeah.
I think the energy would be better spent working with her dad on how to express himself if he didn't want him to come. Like the dad gave him the okay. It's not like the dad's not going anymore. Maybe the three of them could be close. She does seem like she's overreacting a little bit.
Yeah. I validate her feelings. I think because her grandfather died and the father was very close to him, she probably just feels really bad for him, and she like is trying to, I mean, their bond sounds great. They text throughout the week. I don't know like that many people that are texting their father-in-law like multiple times throughout the week, and like going, like the fact that he was excited to go on this trip with his father-in-law and his friends who he doesn't know is really nice and really sweet and really cool, that he's like investing himself in being close to her father and his friends in this way. I agree. I think she said she's in therapy because of issues around her father, like not expressing himself and like saying things he doesn't mean. And it sounds like her antenna or her like little hairs on the back of her neck are standing up, that her father's going to be upset, maybe passive aggressive. That's going to somehow affect her negatively. And she's like trying to protect him from himself, where he said it's okay. He gave permission. He's not spending time with just the husband anyway. He's going and seeing a bunch of his friends. It's almost like this husband is going on this trip with the father and a bunch of people, coming full circle to my party where I didn't know anybody, but this is an entire weekend. He doesn't know anybody.
4 days.
Even if he was like, hey, I don't know anybody, I want to invite my dad, just so like I kind of have a person, if you're hanging out with your friends, even if it was, doesn't sound like the reason, but even if it was, I think that's a reasonable ask. Like, I think she's overreacting. I think this is her own sensitivity about like that her father's not going to get his like perfect dream trip. Like who does,
Right.
It might not be exactly what they want. And if you have to share your son-in-law with his dad for a weekend, you're still going to grow closer. You're still going to have bonds. He's still going to meet your friends and do all your aviation activities and all the stuff.
Yeah.
I think she's overreacting. And I actually think that I love you. You're a listener. Keep listening. Don't be mad. But like, honestly, I think wasn't the nicest that you came at your husband so hard about this and got mad at him when he did check with your dad. He's going to spend all this time with him. He's leaning into being close to your family. And like, I don't think he did anything wrong here.
The only thing I would say that the husband could have done differently is if he knew that she might have some weird feelings about this.
He avoided asking her.
He purposely didn't tell her before kind of arranging this on the side because he knew she would be annoyed about it. So, but also like, again, I think she needs to be more open-minded and be like open to hearing what his thought process is, which is even like 4 days is a long time to spend with your dad and a lot of people that I don't know. I love your dad, but that's a long time. And my dad likes this kind of thing. And I'd like, if she would be open to that, I think maybe he'd feel more comfortable like going with him. But I do think she needs to appreciate that her husband is doing this nice thing. I don't know many people who would go on a 4-day trip with their father-in-law and all their friends.
Yeah. And there's a whole other side of like his dad where he's like, maybe he doesn't take any trips with his own dad. So he's kind of like, I'm taking a trip with my father-in-law. We don't really take trips together. Like I can kill 2 birds with 1 stone, spend time with everybody, unless he's going to do a separate 4-day trip with his own dad. I think what's happening here is you, listener, are trying to micromanage your father's emotions, and that's not your job. He's a big boy, and if he wants something different out of this trip, he can speak up. So I don't know what's happening in your therapy, but I think what should be happening is you're the keeper of your father's emotions. You don't have to be a mind reader. You don't have to, that's up to him to express what he wants and doesn't want. I think there must be something she's scared of on a deeper level when her father is upset but not sharing it.
Right.
That she's worried about. Like, I don't know if he's going to be cold or distant or mean or withholding or something, but you can't be walking on eggshells trying to read between the lines and interpret what your dad wants. It's his job to say if he doesn't want him to come. And frankly, even if he doesn't want him to come, I don't know if that's like the nicest thing, you know?
Right. If he's looking for more male companionship, this should be a good thing.
Yeah. Excluding the father, I don't think this sounds really lovely. Like I couldn't imagine. I mean, we don't have, Jeff's dad is passed away, but like, I couldn't imagine like my mom and his mom like going on a trip together for 4 days and like getting along and everybody wanting to do that. Like, that's really nice. So I would focus on the positives of all of this.
Yeah. I would appreciate that. The dynamic sounds nice. Don't make it weird by like insisting someone be uninvited from this trip. You're going to make it weird.
Yeah, let them all have fun. That your dad will get over it or he won't, but that's his responsibility.